What's going on, everybody? My name is Tiffany Solorio, and I am so excited to be joining scrapbook.com for SBC Fest on March 14th. The only homework for this class is pretty simple, but it is crucial to getting a background you love when using distress sprays. I'm going to be talking about how important paper is when using distress sprays. When I teach my own classes, the frustration always comes from not using the right paper. I'm hoping that this homework video can clear up any of the confusion or frustration you may have. Let's get into it. All right, so I have some fun homework for you today, and I really wouldn't call it homework because I think that term comes with a negative connotation, but I would love to know, did you like homework growing up or did you just dread doing it? I definitely was one that did not like homework at all. All right, but you're going to want to trust me because this homework is all about having fun and getting inspired. Now, your task is to dig through your stash and find some papers that might work with sprays. The paper you choose is so important when using sprays, so this is a crucial step in preparing for this class. Now, before I dive deeper into that, I want to remind you that at the end of this video, I will be going over the supplies you'll need for the class. Plus, I have a free PDF download available with over 15 color combinations to inspire you. If you already have sprays in your stash, this guide will help you make the most out of what you already own without buying anything new. Now, if you don't have sprays and don't want to purchase any more and want to attend the class, no worries, because I recently did a live stream where I showed how you can achieve similar results with just using inks. And I showed you 2 different ways, so I will be sure to link that video down below. The goal here is to keep things minimal and achievable, so no pressure to buy anything new. All right, so back to the homework. When you're looking for papers in your stash, here are a few that work really well with sprays. My go-to is Strathmore mixed media paper, as well as Distress watercolor paper. I also really like Bristol smooth cardstock. Now, those all work really well for this technique, but if you have a bunch of paper laying around and you're curious about it, pull it out and give it a try. This is your time to play and experiment. So I have some cheap cardstock on the left and then my Strathmore mixed media paper on the right, and I am going to show you what happens when the paper isn't the right type. So I'm just going to give this a quick spritz, and you're going to see that that spray soaks right in, okay? Not only that, but the spray is not going to want to move around that much. So you could see it's kind of soaked in, stained it, bleeding through. I don't know if you could see that, but it's bleeding through. Not what you want when working with sprays, okay? This will likely leave you frustrated and disappointed, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how to avoid that with using the right paper, okay? So I'm going to take this paper and I'm going to spray it. Now, when using a good paper like Strathmore mixed media paper, the spray will most likely sit on top and you'll be able to move it around really, really well. So that's just gonna move. I should have picked a brighter color, but that's okay. I think you kind of get the point here. And it's not going to soak through. This is exactly what you want when choosing the right paper for sprays. It makes all the difference in achieving beautiful results. Now, once you've found the right paper, I encourage you to experiment a bit. Pick a few colors you like, whether they're from my scrapbook.com Fest class or the ones you already are familiar with. Start playing around, spray some color, add a little bit of water droplets, dry in between, and maybe add a little more spray, add some more water. We love layers around here. That is going to give you the best results. Like here, you could see all of that depth in this one background. I just want you to get comfortable with the process because the more you experiment now, the more confident you'll feel when it's time to create your cards at SBC Fest. I can't wait to see how you all play around with your sprays, so be sure to tag me on social media, and I would love to know any other paper choices that you may have down below in the comments. Now remember, this is all about having fun and getting comfortable and experimenting with your sprays and paper. Now I'm going to go over the supplies you're going to need for SBC Fest for my class. Now I do have a specific kit available, so if you want to click the link down below and grab your kit before it's sold out, because there are some scrapbook.com exclusives in here. And as I go through, I will share with you, how to choose different options for different supplies. So let's jump right in. First, you will get a pouch. These pouches are amazing to keep everything organized. Now the main thing, there's 2 main things for my card that I'm going to be creating, and the main one is a floral outline stamp. So I chose this one from scrapbook.com because I love it and it is beautiful for so many different techniques. So I'm going to be using this one here, so it gives you an idea of what to look for if you are shopping your stash for this event. I'm also going to be using some rub-ons. These are vintage scripts from scrapbook.com. If you don't have rub-ons and you're not wanting to purchase, you could definitely take some white pigment ink and lightly stamp, probably the second generation stamp. So you're going to take the ink and you are going to stamp off and then lightly add some script stamp to the background of your panel. You don't want the script to stand out because we are going to be embossing the floral stamp in white, so we don't want it to be looking like a hot mess. So we really want the script or the rub-ons to kind of sit behind everything and kind of blend into the background. Now the color combination I chose is very simple, one of my favorites. I use Rusty Hinge and Salvaged Patina. You can definitely use oxide sprays if that's what you have on hand. Again, pick a color combination that inspires you. I really love using a cookie cooling rack, but why I like it is because when I'm building all of those layers and I have my paper, I can heat it on top of this and it helps the air go through it, and I just find it really simple just to kind of work on top of this, and then I'm not creating mud on my mat, and then I kind of am not going to get colors on my paper that I don't want, if that makes sense. So if you have something like this, I would definitely pull it out. I highly recommend this when using sprays, especially if you're going to be adding lots of layers, but it is not necessary. All right, so for the class, I'm actually going to be using distressed watercolor cardstock. And if you do choose to use watercolor paper, be sure to work on the smooth side because we are going to be stamping, and stamping on the texture side is a little bit difficult. You aren't going to get a good impression. So if you do choose watercolor cardstock, again, be sure to work on the back side. It makes it a lot easier. I am going to be using my Misty along with my Stampendable tool. Now you are going to need a Versamark ink, super fine white embossing powder from Ranger, and an anti-static tool. This is going to ensure that any of that embossing powder is not going to get in areas that you don't want it, and it's just going to stick to the Versamark ink. For my sentiment for the card, I actually chose a stamp set, and if you've been with me for quite some time, you probably are a little shocked because I tend to gravitate towards my small talk stickers from Tim Holtz, just because a lot of times when I am done creating my background, I just want the card finished. So it's easy to pull out a sticker. I don't have to stamp anything, but I actually chose this one. It's called Happy Little Sentiments from scrapbook.com. I would definitely pull out any sentiment that you may have in your stash, any stamp set. You want to look for a little sentiment because when you build up a background like we're going to be in the class, you aren't going to want to fill it with a big bulky sentiment. You're going to want to let that background show through so that everybody can see how amazing it is. So just be sure to pick a smaller one. It doesn't have to be this one. I'm going to be using this one here, the top one, Wish You Were Here. But again, any of these would work. If you have stickers laying around, a sticker will work perfectly fine as well. Now that's not to say if you do want to cover up your background, you could definitely do so. It's your card. But again, oftentimes I just like to choose a smaller sentiment. All right, a few random things. You're going to need double-sided foam adhesive strips if you want to pop up your sentiment. You need double-sided adhesive or a adhesive runner. This is the one that I use from scrapbook.com. You're going to need scissors, and I actually am obsessed with this 4-in-1 tool. I use it all the time, and I use this to hold down my paper. So something that you can hold down your paper when you're drying and doing all of the layers is very helpful. You are also going to need a heat tool. I really like this Ranger Heat It tool because it gives a wider airflow, and it just helps the to dry all of the sprays and water that I put on my paper. You can also use an embossing tool, which you're actually going to need as well to emboss your floral, but you can use this to dry the layers in between too. So you don't necessarily have to have both. If you don't have any of these and you need to get one, I would highly suggest a embossing tool because you can do more things with this. You can emboss with the Heat It tool. It just takes forever and I'm very impatient. So if you're looking for a heat tool, I would definitely highly recommend this one. It has 2 different settings and you can also stand it up. I don't really do this very often, but that is an option just in case you want to do that. All right, that is going to complete the homework portion and the supply list. I will have everything linked below for you. And be sure to leave any of your questions you may have in the comment section down below, or you can email me as well. I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. But I am super excited for SBC Fest. It is going to be so much fun. The lineup is amazing. So be sure to check it out. The link is in the description for you. And as always, don't forget to stay creative, my friends.